How have you been, man?
I've been good, man.
Yeah, you guys really didn't start an hour ago. How long ago did you guys start?
We just been getting acclimated.
Yeah, just been kind of getting used to it. I don't know if we technically started or not. So, yeah.
Well, did we actually start?
I started recording a minute 30 ago. So.
Oh, nice. Well, cool. Well, hey.
We waited right in time.
We can do a little introduction here then. So this is our buddy Cass. Cass, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. So you've got a couple of things going for you right now. So obviously we have the chiropractic work and stuff that you do, which I'm a huge fan of. And I do want to talk about quite a bit on here because I think you have a really cool approach to doing it that isn't always the typical way of like chiropractic care. You also have a booming clothing line right now. If you know it or not, you've got a booming clothing line. I see stuff pretty regularly and you do pretty cool.
Yeah, right here.
Repping it today.
I love
that. That is a super dope shirt.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
It is. This for sure a super dope shirt.
I learned about it a little too late. I saw it and I heard you sold out pretty quickly.
They went out fast, which I'm super thankful for.
Which
is cool. We don't make a ton of them, to be honest,
which is cool.
But that's the way to do it, though.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. And it's funny that you say that, like clothing line or apparel line, because I don't even see it as that, to be honest. Yeah. It's just kind of like a side thing we do for fun. And so, to hear it described as that is like a huge plus.
Well, and here's the thing, man. I'll get to that in a second. But I just want to welcome you and say thanks for, coming on to the podcast and doing this. Is this your first podcast?
First podcast. Nice. I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, this is awesome.
Man. You are on our 20th episode, so cause for celebration. We had to save it for somebody special. But we're super excited to have you on here, man, because you do a lot of cool things. But more than any of that, you're a friend. And I know you and I have a good friendship. And I'm happy to call you my friend and proud to call you my friend. And excited to have you on here so that you can kind of tell people what you do and the ways that I think you're a little different. And I think Kevin and I have a big appreciation for that. And I think all of us here at Triad, because we're not in a dissimilar boat. We're kind of treading waters in a way that not everybody does in an industry. And we think it's the right way. And I know you're doing this because you think it's the right way. And I really value that and I really appreciate that. And so it's cool to see somebody else doing it in a different line of work, especially when and I don't have to be the person to tell you this, but it's like there is chiropractors, not dissimilar to supplement stores, are people either love them or hate them.
Right.
It's kind of the, that's, you don't need that. You don't need that. Or people are like, oh my gosh, this is great. And this was something that, really changed my life. And I think the difference on how that happens one way or another is the approach that the person either with a supplement store or the chiropractor themselves takes with that. I think it makes a huge difference on whether or not somebody sees the success and the long-term benefits of what they're doing, what business they're or person that they're choosing to associate with. So I have a ton of respect for you in the way that you do it. And as soon as we had that first conversation, we met at Crunch Fitness at an event, and your table was next to mine, and we started talking about chiropractic care. And I feel like we just hit it off then, man, because we had a really long conversation, and I got to learn about how you do things, and I was super impressed, man.
Man, I'm pretty sure we just started yapping and weren't even paying attention. People walking around. Yeah. Maybe Kevin shouldn't know that.
Yeah. Not even working. Yeah. No, I'm disappointed in both you guys.
People walked up to the table and I'm like, yeah, you say whatever you want. I'm talking to Cassidy.
Right. No, that was awesome, man. And that's a great way to put it. I definitely agree. And watching what you guys do and everything is awesome for us. Thanks. Too. I mean, for all small businesses, So yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here and hope that we can provide some good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not as familiar with how you do things differently compared to other chiropractors and other people in the industry. I'm not as familiar as Thomas is. Could you explain?
I got this. No, I'm just
kidding. That would be a good way to go about it, actually. I think a couple of the key pointers are, number one, we're self-pay. So no insurance at all. And really, to explain why we do that, it just allows us to actually give the care we think that the patient should receive. So, we could go down a huge rabbit hole of all the negatives and stuff like that. But really, it just, to keep it simple, it allows us to do what we think is right when we think is right and, do things the way that
you're not limited by,
right. By someone else choosing what they're going to pay for it and, how many times we can see them and stuff like that.
Well, it affects how you have to charge people too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
they have to, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like you can't charge one person one thing and then a different person a different thing based upon whether or not they have insurance or not. So it's either you go the insurance route or you go the non-insurance route. And it's kind of your two choices, because then you end up having to charge what you would essentially, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, the insurance company, you'd have to just charge a walk-in person without insurance. And that's just like going to be outrageous in most situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it could get so complicated that I don't even know.
I've heard other people talk about insurance, and I like generally understand, obviously, but there's so many little intricacies to it that it's complicated.
Yeah, and I feel like there's pros and cons to both. I'm completely aware of the fact that there are some people who have to have that low copay. And then if there's a place for them, then that's a good thing too. I'm not going to knock on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for just the way that I wanted to practice and what I think that our audience needs, that's the way we function is self-pay, and really just looking for the longevity and the sustainable care rather than just, immediate quick fixes or, continuous things where you're not really trying to fix anything. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think just drawing another parallel, what the traditional supplement store model, I guess I would say, especially in like the big box ones that most people know about, is essentially, I don't know a better way to put it besides like the smash and grab of like, I'm going to get you in here. I'm going to get you for as much as I can get you for today. And then maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't. Right?
Yeah. I was going to draw that parallel of stores that it's very common for stores to run sales and deals and discounts. And we've avoided that as much as possible. We run one sale a year for 2 or 3 days. But outside of that, this is what the price is, because we want people to buy their nutrition, what based off of what is right for them and not what's the best deal. Like, we don't want them to be limited by what's on sale and what's not.
I love that. It's simple. It's black and white, right? It's like if you want to actually take care of yourself, here's how you do it. And we're not going to overcomplicate it.
Right. Well, and I think, and kind of continuing with the parallel that I was going on, is that, we are more of the like, when people ask like, oh, do I really need this? I can say like, no, or yes, or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm not affected. My job's not affected by the number on the screen whenever you're leaving, right? Like the total number of like whatever the sale is, that's not going to affect my job or any of our jobs here at Triad in that direct sense. And so I feel like it's the same kind of thing for you, where I've even been in my personal experience, so I can even kind of speak firsthand, where like certain treatments would make sense and certain ones wouldn't. And, I didn't walk in and get told like, I need to see you 3 times a week for the next 6 months. And it's like, and we're going to, and like have this whole, it's like, well, that's not really how it works. At least in my mind, it's, we're going to do some trial and error. We're going to work on some stuff. We're going to do some cupping. We're going to do some stretching techniques, some workout stuff. Let's kind of get these things going and see if we can take like a holistic approach of like all these different ways of doing things and see if we can't get the right combination of things that make sense for you. It wasn't like, oh, as soon as you come in, one size fits all, where you just get all this and that's it. It's, there was times, or, you can look at me and say like, no, I don't think you need this, or like, this isn't what's necessarily going to work for you. And you're not just out there trying to get somebody to spend as much money as they can every time they come to see you. It's kind of like, no, I hope that I heal you. I hope I help you. And that might mean that you don't come see me as much as, you did when you were hurt, or in pain or dealing with this. But in turn, I hope that just like us, I hope that encourages you to
build trust.
Yeah. Recommend me. I hope this is, I'm honest. I'm here. I'm not just like, I'm not telling you that I need to see you 3 times a week for the rest of your life. And,
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the linears of that too, the like what you guys deal with in that sense too. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like we all know we still have to run a business too.
Yeah.
You gotta run a business, we have to make money.
Right.
Gotta pay rent, gotta pay utilities, keep the lights on.
And we're just doing our best to do it the best way we know possible without compromising our morals and ethics, right?
Right. That is a tough tightrope to walk, that sometimes, that's for sure, man.
Yeah, sometimes I see people and I go, hey, I understand why they fell into it. And then it just spiraled and kept going, and I feel bad for that. But I think and I know the same for you guys. Our mission is, hey, how do we do our best not to be the same? How do we do our best to not fall down that rabbit hole? Not that we're looking at them going like, those are the worst people ever, but they made a mistake, and I think that mistake compounded, and then they end up with something where they're not really valuing the care of their people.
Yeah. What is it? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Did you just make up that quote?
Yep. Yeah. Kevin Wilhite original. So, obviously no insurance, which I think we're all learning that insurance can be kind of corrupt in itself. What else would you say is different about AD Labs?
Man, I think what we do is, like I said, the longevity care, like Thomas put it a good way. He said, we try our best to, even though our goal is to see you less, so we really do preach, hey, we really can help you feel better regularly, and we really can help you live a better life and teach you how to move better and stuff like that. But really, the less often I have to see you, the better. And
such a unique thing in like the business world, right?
Yeah.
I hope it works. Talk to me in 5 years. I'll let you know whether.
Man, I think consumers are becoming more aware of things like where we draw the parallel of sales, but also like you as someone providing care, being honest with them and genuinely helping them. I think people are becoming aware that like sales are gimmicky and practitioners there's an incentive for you to come back and pay for visits. But I think that's why I believe, maybe it's just as I'm getting older and more aware, but I believe that consumers are starting to be a lot more aware of companies' reputations. I think social media plays a big role into that. I think that the social media is just fueling the fire as far as word of mouth goes. You talk to guys that have been in business for 30 years though, and they talk about how much word of mouth played a role in the growth of their business, and how that was so much bigger than any of the marketing that they ever paid for. So.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Thomas, earlier you said something about basically somebody asking you like, do I need this? And you being like, no, not really,
Right.
But I guess for us at least, and then maybe for you guys too, our hope is that we're able to go, but if this is your goal, you could use it and it's going to help you, rather than being like, hey, you need this, you're going to die. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If they ask, hey, do I need this? And you tell them, no, that probably won't actually be super beneficial to what we're doing. When they do ask if they need something that they do actually need, they'll trust you when you say yes.
Yeah.
Saying no, I think builds a tremendous amount of trust.
Yeah. And I think like, I think that's such a unique place to be too in a business. Just kind of touching back on that is, yeah, you're right. Like your goal is to see them less. And that's such a unique thing. Like that's, even in our line of work, that's not necessarily what, like we ever strive for. But like there are aspects that are similar where, again, like I talk more people out of things, I feel like, a lot of times than I do into things, if that makes sense. Like I had a lady just in the other day who, she's dealing with some sleeping issues, and she's, stressed, and she's working out a lot, and we're kind of going through a lot of things. She's not eating very many calories. Her calories are really low. She's dealing with some stubborn midsection storage that she's trying to get rid of. We started out by looking at some things to help lower some cortisol for her and see if maybe that was the issue. And, she was probably in her later 30s and started talking, and she came in and was like dead set on getting a thermogenic. And I started talking to her. I was like, so we've got a couple of things here that we need to explore though. You're eating 1,200 calories a day, which I would argue is not enough. Right. And I was like, and that's obviously, there's a whole mental hurdle there too of like, she's like, I'm not going to eat anything that's going to contribute. And I'm like, yeah, but that's, and we started kind of talking about association of calories and how our metabolism works. And, the biggest thing was like, she seemed frustrated that when she took the thing to lower her cortisol, that it didn't make a difference for her. And I had to kind of get to a point in talking to her and her husband where I had to just like flat out tell her, where like, I don't think this is the move. Like like, I'm sorry I'm speaking candidly, but I want to be honest with you. Like, I don't think the thermogenic's the move. If we're only taking in 1,200 calories and we're working out a ton, like depleting your calorie intake through burning more is not going to be the answer to this. Like, maybe instead of spending $50 on this, like maybe go get a hormone panel done. Maybe that's where we need to kind of look. And you don't have to take the medicine they recommend or anything, but that at least gives us some markers. And they even kind of were like, well, we really appreciate you being honest. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's here. Like, if you really want it and you really feel like it, but I'm just warning you that I think you're going to come in upset again. Gotcha. And I'm genuinely trying to help you and tell you what I think is going to make the move, even though that doesn't give us any money. This is free advice. You're going to leave without buying anything. Like, that would make me feel better than you buying something I know is not going to work for you in this situation. And that's something that I really feel like you're very similar in. And so it's something where, kind of getting back to it of dealing with that balance is, I know we're firm believers of this, and I think you are too, but I'm kind of speaking for you, is it's like, I'd rather fail trying to do it right than succeed doing it wrong.
I love it. I was just about to ask, like, where you guys think that foundation came from?
I would say maybe even the temptation of, like, especially when you're in a spot where it's just like, man, I don't know how we're going to make rent this month. And you start like, and you see other people and other companies in the industry that are, very successful, kind of doing some stuff that doesn't seem the most morally sound. And it's like, man, like maybe that's just kind of how you have to get by with it. And then like that, like thought even crosses your mind, even like when you're with a customer, and like almost comes out of your mouth and you're like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And it's like, I think just like, I think there's legitimately like a barrier for at least me that I've never been able to even like have that kind of like, I guess I don't know how to explain it, but like anything that would be like morally unsound come out of my mouth to a customer to try and do something for profits over people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
I think one of the big things that we have that's an advantage now, and this is just because of the longevity of the company, is the culture of our employees. Right. I think that's a huge thing where, like, even if Kevin had the temptation to do it at this point, I don't think he does, but even if he did, I think if somebody saw us make a decision that was like completely against what we stood for, we have a lot of like really high integrity employees that would be like, nope,
that's
not me,
awesome.
man.
We've had that before. We've had miscommunications on things that were like that we were doing, and the funnel situation with Anthony, where we got some funnels in, and we were talking about making our own triad funnels, and it's like, well, I don't know how those would sell. Like maybe just throw a few of these 40 ones that we had out on the shelf just to test to see if they'll even sell, because we would have to buy triad ones, right? And Anthony did not like that. It's like, we're charging for stuff we get for free. He's like, can't do it. He's like, I will quit.
Wow.
And I'm like, bro, okay, I'm sorry. Like, dude, I completely understand where you're coming from.
Right.
I was able to explain the situation of like, hey, this was just like a test to see if it was worth us paying for our own.
And he was like, no, screw you, Kevin.
And he still works for you guys.
Yeah. So needless to say, we weren't allowed to charge for the funnels. So.
That's awesome. And that shows so much humility on your part too, honestly, as someone who can be like, no, this is the way that we're going to do it,
right.
but you're going, oh man, you said
we might have a walkout.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather not charge for funnels than have to work Anthony shifts.
But it is a unique thing where, and just kudos to them, where, I mean, you can look at any employee we have, and I think they all have the same attitude. And it's something that, we talk about and we look for whenever we're hiring people. When we go through the hiring process, one of the things we've talked about in nauseam on here is like, I don't necessarily care how much you know about supplements. I don't necessarily care how much you know about fitness. Can you treat everybody who walks in like they're your grandmother? And if you can do that, I can teach you everything else. But I need you to have that level of integrity and character, and then everything else will flow smooth. And so I think that's like one of those where no matter what's happening, if something even feels a little off, I have encouraged, employees that even work here with me at UConn to like ask questions, challenge it. Like if you don't feel comfortable with it, then like let's talk about it. And maybe we're misguided, or maybe there's a misunderstanding, but let's, everybody plays, I think, an integral part in keeping everybody on the same line, like keeping the boat moving the same way with the same set of like morals. And I think that's a huge factor, especially for our long term. I think it gives me a lot of hope where at some point we couldn't even make a decision like that, like with the Anthony situation.
I think we're pretty much there at this point.
We couldn't if we wanted to.
Right.
And so,
can't even accidentally do it.
Right.
So.
And so that's kind of, it's a blessing in disguise, because it's something that, even when you start to have that divide between, working in the store and just staring at a computer screen and, like seeing how things are going and seeing what numbers are like, I imagine that a temptation can creep in of like, what's going on? Like, what are we doing? Do we need to do something? Because that like feeling of sitting still is like the worst feeling ever. I feel like when you own a business or run a business or even contribute. And so it's like, we got to be doing something. And so when you're not on the front lines talking to customers every day, I feel like it could be so that you could find yourself like being subjected to, thoughts creeping in.
Yeah.
Do I need to do something different? Do we need to do something different, as opposed to just sticking to the playbook that we know works?
That's a great point. It's not always on purpose, so I don't even, sometimes whenever people make the wrong move, it may not be intentional.
Yeah, right. So the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Kevin Wilhite, 2023.
Yeah. Gotcha.
That's the humility you talk about is not an easy thing either, man. It's like when you've got like, when you spend so much time putting thought into like everything and planning everything and doing all this and working with all these people, and someone comes in and you're like, I think you're doing it wrong. It's just like a gut wrenching feeling of like, oh, okay, just like calm down for a second. Now let's have a conversation. Okay, why do we think we're doing it wrong?
Right.
It's not easy. That's for sure. I'm not able to do it easily. But how many employees do you guys have now?
Right now, we've just got three. Two that help out in the office, and then one that does social media manager. So we're still small. We're still trying to make our way up.
Dude, we were no employees for the first 2 years.
Wow. Okay,
that's right.
And then I think we were 3 for our third year. And then getting into our 4th year is where we started hiring a little bit more, and got to like 5, 6, up to 7, I think, towards the end of that year. So it wasn't until about year 5 that we really started kind of getting on a roll of hiring regularly.
We're at what, 15 now?
15 employees. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
But it's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Once it gets rolling, did it get rolling pretty quickly though?
Not necessarily. I would say Anthony was our 5th or 6th hire. His first day was like the same day as Alyssa's first day, so they were 5th and 6th together. And he was the newest employee for about a year and a half. So we hired a couple people, or actually 3 people within a few months, and then nobody for like a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then we brought on people for Norman, Ryan, Kaylin, Preston. Am I missing anybody there? I hope not.
I came back at that time.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Thomas. Forget about him.
Can't forget about this guy.
Am I missing anybody? Yeah, me, dog. I was always there.
Honest, that's true. That's why it never felt like you left.
No, I never felt like I left either.
Forgetting about Thomas. You're kind of a quiet guy. It's easy to honest mistake.
I'm a petite
You're quiet
man.
and small.
Yeah, I'm a petite man.
I look right over you.
Yeah. Thomas came on board and managed the Norman location. But for about a year, Preston was the newest employee. So we went about a year without hiring anybody. Then we went through a round of hiring for people to prepare for UConn. And since that point, we've somewhat been in a constant state of hiring.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's, which is crazy because it's a whole process for us too, and you, I'm sure as well, of like what it's like to get somebody from, because let me rephrase this so I think it'll make more sense, is like, we have a specific concept, right, that we're trying to achieve. We have a specific feel, a specific set of things. We have to have somebody grasp all of that before it really makes sense for them to do a lot of interacting with people. Like they have to understand us. They have to understand. And I think that's why it's such a big thing for us to hire customers, like former customers and people that we know already, who already have an appreciation for us and already understand like how we do things, why we do things kind of a certain way, have understood a little bit of the education process that we try to put our customers through. And I think they've kind of gone through that, and then they have a new level of appreciation for the store and kind of what we have to offer. And then I think that's when that transition is typically kind of the easiest for us.
Okay. I didn't know that you guys tried to hire out of your pool of customers, which is awesome. But I have heard about the rigorous hiring process, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, it's man, I think it's been worth it for us. I think it's really helped us. Man, we'd rather spend a little bit extra time interviewing, a little extra time training than to bring on the wrong person and have to spend a year or two with this person that doesn't quite make sense,
or trying to undo any kind of potential inaccuracies or damage that could be done by having the wrong person.
That's true.
And I think,
or even if it's the right person, but the expectation isn't set in the right place. It could be a year of trying to get that person where they are on the same page.
Yeah,
if they've got the potential to be there.
Right. And again, I think it's most of the time it's not even. I don't think it's like a malicious thing. It's the same kind of thing. I think it's with good intentions, but it's just, it's not easy. It's not an easy gig, and getting people ready to handle the flow of what it takes and the mental capacity of what it takes is difficult. But yeah, it's a journey for sure.
And I think the crazy thing that a lot of people may not understand is that like being a supplement salesman is the last of your concern, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so much more to it than just that, and just having the knowledge, right? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I would imagine.
100%.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize I was a salesman until like 6 months into working in a supplement store. Like someone was like, "You're a great salesman." I'm like, "I'm a what?" Wait, I thought I was just helping out with nutrition in general. Like I thought it was. I guess I am
fielding questions about supplements. Yeah, it's funny how that goes, because it's like I would attribute us more to a coach than I would a salesman. Like, this is what I think would work for you. Like, this is what I don't think would work for you. I think you should do this nutritionally. I think you shouldn't do that nutritionally, or whatever it looks like. And it's like, okay, cool. Like I'll write you a plan if I need you to. If I'll do all of that. And then it's like, not dissimilar to how like hiring a coach would be, but all of the thing, like something I always say, at least in the store, when people come in and apologize for asking so many questions, is, hey, the only thing that costs money here is the supplements on the wall. Everything else is free. We're happy to.
And that is why we are here.
Yeah,
to answer questions.
That's why we go through all the training. That's why we go through all of this.
I wouldn't have a job if you didn't have questions.
Right. Yeah. Please ask. Right. We could just be a vending machine otherwise.
For real. But that's why the people that get brought on are the title used to be sales associate, because we didn't really know what else to call it, but we changed that to, shout out Aaron White, came up with the term supplement consultant. And it's fit really well in my opinion. So.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
So with your 3 employees, have you had to humble yourself at all with conflicting opinions coming your way at all?
Yeah, I would say so. Honestly, I mean, there's not instances just running through my head right now, but I one thing I know for sure is I lucked out for sure. So I've got Liz and Kaylee who help me out in the office, and then Jess, who does all my social media stuff, and they are the 3 most extraordinary people I could ask for.
Yeah.
But yes, humbling yourself and just recognizing that my perspective is not the only perspective is a really huge thing.
Yeah.
Really something I'm thankful for is having people to ask stuff, to walk into the other office and be like, hey, what do you guys think about this? You know, like, cause I don't know, this is how I see it, but I don't know if that's right. You know?
Right.
I've made a post about this before, as I rarely make my own decisions. I just find the right person that I think is going to make the best decision depending on the situation.
Yeah.
So that is, having other opinions, as people that are there day to day and understand the entire business model and the mission overall, to give you opinions that, they're not. I know for me, it's a lot of times people aren't overthinking it as much as I am, and they can give me a better opinion on which way we should go. So
yeah.
I was just about to say, I'm sure the hyper focus, and that is not always the way to look at stuff. Just like zoned in on just that one goal of what we're looking for, but really to a consumer or somebody else on the outside. It's just like, no, we don't need to think about that.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard to say when you're in their day to day, it's hard to take a step back and look at what things look like from an outside perspective. I feel like I can see other people's businesses easier than I can see my own a lot of times.
It's funny that you bring that up because Will, one of our assistant managers, one of our ATs in Yukon, just went to Springfield where Kevin and I went to college and stopped by Supplement Superstores, which is our old supplement store that we worked at. And he just came back and he said he just had like a new fire just because he went in there and he was really impressed with them. And they're a great place, like learned a lot. And he one of the first things he said was he can see how Triad exists through what our experience was at Supplement Superstores. And the thing that really said that he really lit a fire for him was he got to experience what it was like to almost shop at a Triad for the first time again. And he was like seeing the customer service and seeing what it felt like to kind of go in somewhere and just feel the way that we try to make people feel. Cause he's so used to being on the other side, right? He's so used to being the person trying to do it as opposed to the person receiving it. And he was like getting to go in there and do that. He was like, man, it was such a cool experience to be on the receiving end of that. And he's like, it made me really excited and feel really blessed about what I get to do every day. Because when you're not on the receiving end of it, I mean, how many customers do you a day try to give great customer experience
It's
to?
monotonous. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, you don't necessarily, people walk out and they're like, dang, like seriously, you guys are always so great. And you're like, yeah, that's awesome. And they walk out and another person walks in and you're like, hey, how's it going, man? And you're just like kind of back onto it. And so I thought it was cool to see him come back, like, not that he'd ever lost his fire, but like have even be more invigorated towards like work, just seeing like, this is what I get to do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool thing.
Yeah. Anthony, again, our manager at Quail Springs, also visited that Supplement Superstores, and he did also get to visit First Form HQ, but had the exact same experience of like came back with like a new fire under his ass.
Yeah.
Like,
It's super cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with S2 too, because I went to school up in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did
you shop there?
I would. Yeah. I'd go there and buy pretty much all my supplements.
Which location did you go to?
Overland Park.
Overland Park.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
I've been to that one.
Hey, I've been to a few of them. So I went and visited, and we bounced around to a few. Now I can't remember. I don't know the Kansas City area super well, but it's actually our old boss that owns those franchises.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah.
So having, a couple of employees now, I think kind of to tie in a little bit of what Kevin was talking about earlier, I think it's cool. And I imagine, you're the same way just in the way that you talk about things, but it's got to be fun. I'm sure I firsthand see it be fun for Kevin is when you come in with that idea or this thing and whoever you're talking to or the group's like, nah. Like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've experienced that yet.
I don't know if I have, or if my crew is just really, really nice in the way that they put things. Maybe I'm like, oh yeah, you're right, but they haven't quite just been like just stuck it to me like that. So thank you guys. Yeah.
That's my job for Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, like, what do you think about this? I'm like, nah, you're so dumb. Don't do that.
Don't worry, I only spent 3 days on it. So
I'm like, do you want some input? I think you could use some cherries on it.
Would you send me that text for the pre-plus cherry label of like, dude, it was hey, which one do you guys like better, this one or that one? And Thomas is like, what about a third option?
Hey, in my defense, I didn't send you want a third option in the group. I sent it individually and I asked if you wanted one.
You did.
I didn't just give you my unwarranted advice.
You did. And my response, I think over text was nice, but my response verbally to talking to my phone was, fuck you, Thomas. What is it?
But I always have genius ideas. And you were like,
it did work out really well. Cass was complimenting your pictures of the cherries on the Divine Pre Plus.
Hey, and that's what's tough, right? Is, again, I think obviously you'd had to work like multiple days, and I was trying to tiptoe because I know better than to say something in the big group or to not ask if you want my input. Because if you would have said no, I'd have said, okay, cool, I'll live with it forever.
And I knew that going into it, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, right. Like there are plenty of labels you've made that I hate, but I just just, I just take that on the chin every day. I have to look at them and I don't worry about it.
I make those because I just want to stick it to you sometimes. That's my way of getting back at you. I just make labels. I don't send it to the group or anything. I'm like, Thomas is going to hate this one. Print them.
Yeah, that's it. But this is for all the times that I've said no or disagreed with you on an idea. You're like, well, you can't disagree with this, Thomas. This is the label.
Send the PO.
But yeah, I think and I appreciate it, and you are very good about it. I think people have to learn how to work with each other and like understand how to approach those things, and so if the girls are listening, Cass is very open to anything that you have to tell him. Just be straightforward and make sure and just dig it deep. And that's how he'll appreciate it.
He was telling us, I think, before the episode starts that he won't take you seriously unless you attack him personally.
Yeah. So
looking forward to
insult.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
But I do want to pay a compliment to the girls that you have at your office. They are so nice. And even when I've gone in there just to pick up a shirt or something that you dropped, they always make great conversation. They always say, hey, how's it going? And like even Kaylee, she remembered the time that she'd come into to Triad and was like, yeah, I came in and I was like, oh, I remember talking to you. Like it was when you first moved here. And so she was great. Like they've all been super good about making that like just a welcoming feel. Like they started honest conversation with you. You can tell they're interested in people's lives and talking to them when they come by. And I think that's so important. Like you being a place, like you yourself, maybe this is a good way to put it. I see what you try to do and I see that in them. And I think that's such an important aspect. Like how you try to put the personal touch and have that like try to build a relationship with the person that you're working with and trying to help. And you can tell that they kind of take that approach to it as well, whether that is just them naturally or that's something that, you've either tried to implement or they've implemented just through seeing you. But it is a nice when I walk in and I see you for treatment, I view you as a friend, and I think a lot of your clients do. But then I can walk out and walk in to there with the girls' office and I feel the same way.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's a huge compliment that I really, really appreciate, because I mean, sometimes I can't tell, like I have a vision in my head of what we hope and everything like that. And I think that I'm just lucky that they're absolute rock stars and portray it the way, I don't even think, they're just such rock stars in their own that they can, they're able to grasp that idea of what Ad Labs needs to stand for and go after it.
Fully understand. How did you find them?
So kind of long stories there. Kaylee was through mutual people that we knew. And then interestingly enough, Liz was through Indeed. So I got really lucky there. And then Jess was actually let's see here. Try not to violate any. I knew her before.
Okay. Sounds like you've got people that like they fully grasp. They're not there to clock in, clock out, make a paycheck. Which is the one that does your social media?
Jess,
and she does that full time.
No. She does a ton of different things. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She does a ton of different things, and I don't know how much effort it takes, but it's a pretty simple. She gets everything done. Yeah.
So what are her other responsibilities?
Just that. Yeah. So she comes in as needed. She just comes in as needed, gets content as needed, and gets the tasks done. And we're in a lot of communication and everything like that. This is new to me and new to her. Yeah. But I think that's probably one of the biggest things that people can recognize right now. It's just like, dude, your social media game's really gone up.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
dude,
it's not me.
Really good. Yeah.
I feel like because we were talking before, I feel like I know you a whole lot better than just from the one time that we actually, this is only our second time meeting face to face. We were both at an event. Man, probably a couple of years ago now, both out there grinding, talking to people at gyms, and but being able to keep up with you on your social media has like helped me learn more about who you are as a person. So I'm sitting down a lot more comfortable because I've kept up with your social media. You guys have been on it, man.
Incredible to hear. Well, way to go, Jess. I mean, I wouldn't do that stuff. You guys have met me, for how long you guys have known me, I'm not going to sit down and talk on camera like, the interview style that she basically was like, hey, I think we should do this. I was like,
I think it's good though.
Yeah, those kinds of things. I feel like those are big ones for me to not just get comfortable with what you're doing, but who you are as a person.
Right.
And like I think, and I'm sure that's huge for especially people that are coming in that aren't just like quick customers. They're clients of yours, man.
Right.
They want to feel comfortable coming in and being around you, So, but having someone else do your social media as a person that ran our social media for Ryan, when did you take over everything?
I don't even remember now.
You've been doing it for a couple years now, pretty much since you came on board.
He didn't have gray hair then, but he does now.
But yeah, Ryan is started in store and we had an interest in helping out with our marketing overall and our media, and started by just answering messages on social media, and we gave him more and more and more tasks, and now he does nothing but our media, our marketing. He just redid our Define website.
Mm-hmm.
He's working with all our advertisements on social media, pretty much anything within the media and marketing space. That's what he does full time. And I have dreamt about the day that we would have someone else to help out with that, because it is a job and a half to do.
It's my least favorite thing to do. So way to go, Ryan.
It's brutal.
Yeah, like that's incredible because social media is just
it's a monster.
Even if you like doing it, it's so time consuming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're telling me is that people who like to do it don't even like to do it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
No,
Ryan, do you have any input on that?
I'd say there's some truth there.
He's getting some help from some other people on staff as well.
Starting to do that.
Right. His plate just keeps getting more and more full. I mean, again, like taking on the task of like, hey, Ryan, we need to essentially do a complete overhaul on our Define website. There's just a handful of things that need to be updated. We just need someone to go through it. But like, I personally don't know how. Alyssa has done it before, but her plate is just getting overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. But we can take some of Ryan's tasks and kind of disperse them to some people that are wanting to help out within that media space, and free up his time to be able to take on social media. To be fair, I don't think he gave up. I think he did more work than he gave up. So, he's been busy for a while, but Define website looks super dope right now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm like happy for you that you have a person for that.
Yeah.
Social media is, it's just my least favorite thing in the world to do personally. That sounds bad because it's so important. It's such an important role now, you know? Yeah. But you can tell when someone doesn't have a heart for it and someone has a knack for it for sure.
Right.
Yep.
Well, one of the things, kind of talking about like with Kevin talking about getting to know you better, just even through like your social media, I think that's definitely played a role also when it came to like the clothing line and the stuff that you've been doing for that. Because the last round of shirts sold out. How fast? Like
I think like 3 hours they were all claimed.
Yeah. Right. It's quick, man, and it's a super cool thing. And I know you were talking about it earlier as being just something you kind of do on the side, and it's just kind of something fun. But man, I'm a firm believer that that's how the best things start. We'd gone to lunch one time and we'd had a conversation about this, and I still feel very true to it, or that it's very true is, when something starts on the side just for fun, like just for you, or like just something that you've wanted to do, like almost a passion project that kind of comes in there. It reminds me a lot of when Alfonso Lopez started Let's Work. It was something that he just kind of did on the side for fun. That was for him. Like it was him, and he was putting things that not just embodied him, but also that he enjoyed, and you could see the passion that went into it. And so I know this is, you're earlier along in the project than he was, but I think you can see that. And one of the things that I really complimented you on was this shirt. This is my favorite shirt that you've done. I love it. And I know you had told me that you were even kind of hesitant to implement some of like your culture into the shirt because it's the Year of the Rabbit shirt. And man, I think that that's what made it so special though. I think that that's why people appreciate, obviously it's a cool shirt. Like the design is super cool. Like everything's awesome on it. But I think you put putting even more a step of yourself into it and allowing us to get to enjoy that with you is why the shirt and I think the line has been as popular as it has been, because I think the people who are doing it are obviously and picking it up are people who like it, but they also care about you. And so getting to, enjoy something that you enjoy and get to represent something that you wanted to represent and something that you were passionate about and that was a part of you, I think ended up making a really cool product at the end of the line. And so I know we talked about this before, but to encourage you that like the clothing line is just as much you as it is a clothing line. And that's why people are interested in it. We talk about it all the time that Define, while it's for the store, more than anything, I think it's for us.
Yep.
It's what we want. It's what we want to take. It's what we want to do. It's the flavors we want. It's the things we enjoy. And then we get to share that with people. And I think obviously we're a little bit further along in the project than you are with the clothing line, but we're really starting to, not that we haven't before, but I really see it now on a regular basis where people want to try Define because we made it, not because we like it or not because we promote it. It's because, oh, you guys made this. I would love to try what you made.
I love that. Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. And that's great for me to hear too. I'm a pretty private person, to be honest with you. I really don't let a whole lot of people, especially from the outside.
1 million people are going to watch this.
Yeah, right. So I remember when we were talking about that over lunch, and that was a big concern of mine. I was just like, man, like this shirt is kind of me, and I don't really, or it's explaining my culture and stuff like that. And you're absolutely right. I think that in that same example, we as consumers want to try stuff because you guys made it, and that's cool. So that's a big thing for me to see. I love that.
We notice trends. We have to keep an eye on products in the store and employees and what stuff they like, because if they start to get on a kick of, oh man, I really just like this flavor of protein, or I really like this pre-workout. And I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but you have to just bump the inventory and let it run. It's like people are going to talk about like, okay, there's 2 flavors of protein. Both are if you looked at general sales, like throughout the entire United States, both are the exact same, but you have an employee that really likes one and doesn't really like the other. We're going to sell a lot more of that one, because when customers come in the store, they're going to be genuinely super excited about this one flavor, and can't fake it enough for the other one to sell the other one enough.
Yeah.
So,
it's natural. They don't even, they're going to give their honest opinion, and it just rolls right off the tongue.
Right. Yeah. They're going to be, again, genuinely excited about it. So if we were making Define products that employees weren't excited about, we would be stuck with a lot of inventory that we weren't able to move. That's for sure.
Right. Exactly. And so, I just say that to encourage you to continue to look at these things as an extension of you, because I think that that's where people that will really appreciate it and want that part of it, want that aspect of it. And again, it's part of you being excited about it. I hope and think that you were excited about this shirt, even if you were kind of nervous or apprehensive about it. But I think I could just tell through the care that you put into it when it came to the packaging. The packaging was awesome. I have given you kudos on this packaging multiple times.
So much fun.
It was so cool. So he had the package. It was put in a clear, nice bag, but then it had an envelope in it that had the Year of the Rabbit logo on it, and it had a fortune in it. And then some of them had I think a golden ticket to win a free shirt on the next round of the brand, the new release. So super cool, man. Super cool.
Will you, if a shirt sells out quickly, will you do a second round of it, or you move on to the next?
We don't plan to. We'll move on to the next one.
Dude, that's the way to do it though, because if people realize, man, I missed out, I didn't get one in the first 3 hours, you're going to have a lot more people buying as soon as they can. And next time you release one, man, it's a fine line of not having to use too much extra inventory. Will sit forever.
I was going to say, you guys know that the worst thing ever is making too much of something and you we can't get rid of this.
And then you lose excitement on the next round. It takes a little bit to build that back up. But if you're constantly selling out pretty quickly, but just enough for enough people to get one for them to be excited about it, it's a perfect line.
Yeah, I love it. And a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's every shirt. They've had continuously each shirt that we've come out with this. So, that's they're looking forward to the next one, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, you've got
I'm
some
looking
people
forward to the next one.
You've got some people with every single shirt.
Yes,
Oh,
since
that's
the
so
beginning,
cool.
man. People will come in with the first shirt that I made that I absolutely hated. And they'll be like, this is my favorite one. And I'm like, that's kind of an insult. But yeah.
Dude, we've got some triad shirts with.
We got some blunders.
Yeah.
Dude, we've got some that have misspelled words on them. So
You guys were the pioneers of the shirts, though. So props to that. You guys were the one who everyone started rocking the triad shirts around the gyms and everything like that. So yeah. Tell me about these blunders.
That's still surreal. Real quick, when we get that, it's still surreal to hear because, like, I remember a time where we could not pay somebody to wear a triad shirt to the gym.
yeah,
Like I couldn't have given you money and you'd have been like, I'm not wearing this. Like we had nice shirts or whatever, and maybe you'd see one every once in a while. But yeah, it's like I think it's nice to hear again from an outside perspective because I feel almost desensitized to it at times. Like I feel like, especially if I'm, on the north side of town by like Quail Springs Mall or something, I might go to Target and see 5 of them. And you're just like, another triad shirt, And it's like, you kind of get desensitized to that where it's like, gosh, if you were to, time travel us back and we could grab a former version of ourselves and bring him to today and have them walk through a Target and be like, or a gym, let alone just be like, there's 12 triad shirts. And
right.
we're like, yeah, that's pretty regular. Like,
I love when my parents come to town because I grew up in St. Louis. And my parents are still there and they'll come to town and they tell me about every triad shirt they see. They'll get on the plane and there'll be someone in a triad shirt and they're like texting me about it.
But the blunders, yeah, we have the classic and probably the biggest one is the Nutriton shirt, fitness supplements Nutriton.
Okay.
So it doesn't say nutrition on it.
Oh,
we all looked at that and it says Nutriton.
We designed it. All looked it over for edits, sent it to the printer. They printed all of them. We handed them all out, all gone. Cool. All done. And about a month later, someone realized, not even us, someone realized like, does that say Nutriton on it?
We're like, huh?
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounded like a cool word. Yeah. I didn't even know that was a mix-up for nutrition. I was like, what is Nutriton? You guys made a supplement called Nutriton.
I mean, the three prongs of triad, Nutriton.
Yeah. And they were like, yeah, it says Nutriton. And we're like, shit.
How many of them were made?
500.
Oh, you guys still gave them out though, right?
Yeah, they were already gone.
They were already gone before I realized. Yeah,
I love it.
I still have my Nutriton shirt.
I do too.
Yeah, I need to wear it one day.
Yeah, it's I think it was maybe after we were able to get over being sad and angry about that one, we did a wear your Nutriton shirt into the store and get a free shake or something like that.
That's brilliant right there.
Yeah, you gotta do what you can with it. But gosh, there's been so many shirts anymore. Do you have a ballpark of how many shirts we've made, like different designs?
I think it's probably over 100 now.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Because we only did a handful in our first couple of years, but then we started the last about 5 years, we've done about 1 shirt a month.
Yeah.
So, that seems to be about the right amount of time to not do too many where people can't keep up, but to keep it fresh, keep something new coming. So
That's awesome and exciting.
Yeah. But at first we didn't have the money for it. So
I was gonna say, do you guys always give them out, or is it? Do you guys charge for them, or
we actually we'll do customer appreciation shirts only a few times a year. Gosh, actually, if you're listening to this today, the day that this podcast will release, we'll be doing more customer appreciation shirts. So if you're listening, go.
So
pick
AJ,
go pick a shirt up.
Yeah, AJ and Roscoe, and
we already set some shirts back for you.
Yeah, right.
So we only do that a few times a year. Most of the time, they are charity shirts. So we'll charge typically about 10, maybe $15 for them. And then all the profits from that shirt go to a designated charity. And it's been different pretty much every time. And those are really cool because sometimes you kind of like try and match the charity logo. Sometimes you just make something cool. It doesn't have to match at all. It's just make it something that people want to wear and that you want to wear yourself. And adding that aspect into, well, that's, X amount of dollars from this shirt goes to that charity. Like we make no money on charging for these shirts at all. It's kind of adds like and the profits go to a nice cause. So it's kind of a cool aspect to that. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I stick to it. You guys are the pioneers on that. So
I don't know if we were the pioneers. Maybe more here in Oklahoma, but man, I don't know that we have really any fully original ideas. We do things a little differently. But t-shirts were a big thing for supplement superstores as well. So we kind of pulled a little bit of what they did, made it kind of our own, made it work for, especially like early on when we weren't making any money. We figured it out on how to do it without much money. And made it work for us and really put our foot on the gas to try and saturate the area with Triad shirts, which is a lot of shirts. That's for sure. So
speaking of which, do you have any plans for a new release for you?
We've got a design board with a lot of different stuff on it, but we haven't, we've got some that are on the priority list, but they haven't really, we haven't nailed down the exact design
That's
yet.
fun though, isn't it?
Oh, it's a blast. It's my favorite part of it. Yeah.
That's awesome. They're cool, man. All the shirts you've done have been super cool too.
I appreciate it, man. And one of my best friends is the one who helps me design and stuff like that. Kevin and I were talking before we started this, how like, I don't know anything about Photoshop and I don't know anything about Illustrator or, any of the design stuff. I love to think about stuff and I love to go, hey, maybe we should do this or maybe we should do that or, this works and this doesn't work. But luckily, one of my best friends is really good artist and can help me with all the graphic stuff.
That's awesome.
So appreciate you, Nick.
Yeah. Good to have. Yeah. Shout out Nick.
Yeah.
Are they, again, I guess I'm not as familiar. Do they typically advertise for AD Labs or is it kind of a brand of its own or?
Yeah. They advertise for Ad Labs. And for the most part, I mean, we kind of have like the ATC thing is a little bit different, I would say. So we have like our marketing shirts, I guess you would call them, but kind of the shirts with like our simple logo and stuff like that. But the Ad Labs Training Club, we've got 2 of those now. And so we did the ATC abbreviation and that's kind of been what's hit with that. But that's kind of more of our like gym shirt, that's the one that people, they're a little more intense or the fit is different and people love to wear them as like pump covers. So to say.
Oversized is super popular. We've been doing more of those ourselves, but you kind of have to hit a variety of different styles for it to hit everybody. Cause you have, I'm sure a variety of demographics coming in. So
yeah. Absolutely.
What was it, originally, I guess kind of changing the subject quite a bit, but what was it about, like, why chiropractic? What was it that kind of made that be the goal or the plan in life?
Being like 22 years old and having no clue what I was going to do. If you want me to be completely honest.
I love the honesty.
Yeah,
man.
These are 2 guys who definitely didn't think that supplements were going to be the thing that they were going to do forever when they were 22 years old.
We were buying protein from Chad Miller at supplement superstores. And we're like, dang, that guy's pretty big. I want to be like him.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. Yada, yada, yada. Here we are.
I love it, man. Honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no direction for a while. Just living life and stuff. And I mean, my mom had seen a chiropractor and stuff like that, but yeah, for me, it was no like miracle story or anything like that. I think I was blessed with good mentors and family friends who were, chiropractors who led me in the direction.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, when they said they would accept 22-year-old me, I was like, let's go. If you'll accept me, I'll take it. So,
Well, it seems like you really enjoy your work though, man. Again, like watching you on social media, I think that's a big thing that I've taken from it is you seem like you enjoy having a full understanding of what it is that you do and how you provide care.
Yeah, I think luckily I get to enjoy the way that we do it, which is a blast for me. I don't think I would be having as much fun if I had to implement things the way that someone else had planned them or structured it. So I think that's where a lot of the passion comes from, and a lot of the reason why I left my first job to do this was just simply like, hey, what's it look like if I get to be passionate about, if I get to preach everything that I absolutely, truly believe, how much different does that look?
Yeah.
How, so I was going to ask, did you work at a clinic after school to start?
Yeah. So coming straight out of school, I worked for an auto injury clinic for 3 years and they were awesome. So really, really good people, really great bosses and stuff like that. But just not what I saw myself doing for my whole life. So yeah, man.
Well, and I don't think that's a dissimilar story to us either, because we love supplement superstores. We love S2. And we also saw a bunch of things we wanted to be different. Right.
Yeah,
like we saw where the benefit was. We saw how they did things. We understood why they did things. And I think just in the same way with you, and I think with anybody, like it's okay to disagree with some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's okay to, like I like this, but I think it would be better if it was like this. And when you kind of have the control or put into a position like I was with people that I trusted to, have that kind of control and what the model was going to look like.
And have say in that in what's happening in the model itself.
You get to go home every day and feel really good about everything you'd done that day.
Yeah, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
You need to go home knowing that you said what you thought was the right thing to say,
right?
And do what you thought was right for that person,
right? Not what you're being influenced by. In your case, potentially insurance or just whatever. But even for us, it's like I get to leave every day knowing that I wasn't influenced by trying to make sales. I wasn't influenced by X, Y, and Z. I was influenced by what the customer asked me and what I thought would actually help them, in my opinion.
Yeah. You know what I think is cool about that a lot of people may not recognize too is that the more you get to preach what you actually believe in, you also narrow down your audience to the people who are supposed to be with you.
Yes.
And that's an incredible place to be.
Yeah.
I remember learning, I think it was in a book. I can't even remember what book, but it talked about how customers that don't quite fit your business model will cost you more than they benefit you.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's especially true as a chiropractor.
Man, whether that's financially or mentally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kevin's face as soon as it's just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And we do our best to try and cater to everybody. But I remember learning that, and it was at a time where we were still new and trying to make a name for ourselves, and people didn't really know what we were about. And we had people coming in all the time asking for deals and discounts, and we had to tell them, no, man, we don't do that. And it was tough. And we even at one point tried a model where we had a discount system, and it attracted customers that didn't appreciate what we were doing, and it turned a lot of our customers that did appreciated what we're doing into somewhat people that were shopping at a discount store now, so they shopped differently.
Right.
So,
they viewed it differently, and they acted differently. And now it's really interesting because and I hesitate to say this, but I think you guys will both understand is what we deal with now, that is the hard customer to deal with, is they walk in and they go, tell me what I need. And I go, well, I need a lot more information than that. I don't know what you need. Well, but tell me what I need. And you're like, okay, well, what are you trying to do? Like, well, I'm going to the gym. And I'm like, well, okay. And you get this, and I can understand from their standpoint, maybe through what they're used to, or even just what they're expecting from what they're used to with potential other supplement stores, where they're used to being just told what they need, right? And it's like, well, I have no idea what you need, you know what I mean? And so I can't tell you how many people I've have come in and explained this whole thing, and then I changed their nutrition, and I said, okay, come back in a week and I can tell you what you need. I can't tell you right now because I don't know where your holes are in your diet, because we haven't done a diet yet, or whatever that looks like. And so it's a really interesting thing now, because you can tell from a customer standpoint that they get frustrated as well, because they're just like, just tell me what I need. And I'm like, I can't. I don't know what to tell. I could just tell you to buy things, but is that what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. And it's such a unique thing where it's it's so funny, because potentially another supplement store, or one that maybe had a different set of morals or ideas than we do, that's their dream customer, right? The one that comes in and just says, tell me what I need, and you can rack that bill up as high as you want. I'm sitting there like, bro, I have no idea what you need. They're like, well, do I need a protein? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you eat enough protein? And they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, do I need a pre-workout? Well, do you feel comfortable getting to the gym? Do you have motivation and you get there and get good workouts? Well, yeah. Well, then probably. Well, then what do I need? And I'm like, I don't know.
I have two customers that come to mind talking about that. Is one that came in and said, hey, what protein do you recommend? And my typical go-to question is, when are you taking it? He said, well, I don't know. You tell me. I'm like, okay, well, what are our goals right now? And he's like, I don't know, to get protein. And I'm like, oh gosh. And it's it was such a simple one. And I could have, if I would have just picked a protein off the shelf, he would have bought it. But he got frustrated that I was asking a couple of questions. He legitimately walked out. And I was like, holy crap. Okay. Well, I maybe could have used some better sensory acuity there to just recommend something that would be okay for anybody, but maybe not ideal.
Right.
But if I would take that approach with everybody, I would miss out on the customer that came in and asked what protein I recommend. And I start asking him a couple of questions, and he literally stops in the middle of the conversation and says, thank you for taking the time to figure out who I am and what my goals are.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the models for those people, not the people that are just wanting to get something as quick as they possibly can. That's probably not ideal for them.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
quick question: How old were you when you left the other clinic to do your own thing?
Man, so that's that timeline's a little different because I started off doing ad labs one day a week while I was working my other job. I didn't have to work Thursdays.
They were okay with that?
Yeah. So I mean, I had kind of told them, that kind of what I was doing, to be honest with you. But I was working all the way here in Yukon. So for me to be in Norman, there was no competition there, to be honest. And then on top of the demographic was completely different.
Yeah.
So was doing that once a week. And then from there, that kind of rolled into being blessed and knowing people who were able to help me along the way. I was able to have an office space on Saturday. And then, I did the whole work 6 out of 7 days a week thing. And that was tough. But yeah, as that continued to grow, it basically turned in, hey, can I have Tuesdays off?
Yeah,
and then
little by little.
Exactly. Little by little. So didn't have to make some big scary leap. I mean, don't get me wrong, the leap was still scary.
Always, yeah.
But didn't have to go, how am I going to take care of myself for the first 6 months or something like that. So yeah. And once pretty much Thursday, Saturday, and Tuesday started getting to a point where I was like, hey, it'd be dumb not to take this on full time. That's where we jumped onto that. And I've been full time with Ad Labs for about 10 months now.
Wow.
Yeah,
you're way ahead of where we are at. 10 months in at full time, your own doing your own thing, and you already have 3 employees. So
I mean,
I also count myself as an employee, so you're at 4 technically.
You're making it sound way more glorious than it is. Yeah, we're definitely,
I'm exaggerating.
Yeah, we definitely, we're still small and have plenty of kinks to work out, and just such a learning process.
Always.
And, but yeah, I'm really happy with where it's at, and it's such a blessing, and it's cool to have this conversation and actually hear it from another perspective and take a step back and look at it.
Yeah.
Because as you guys know, you get in the thick of it and all you're doing is just thinking about, what else needs to come and being content and slowing down is really, really difficult to a flaw.
Yeah. How much time in a day and how many days a week do you feel like you spend thinking about your business?
You already know the answer to that one.
I have a guess because the context clues leads me to believe that it is from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed every
exactly.
day. Yeah.
And sometimes it wakes you up in the middle of the night too, right?
Pull out. Do you ever pull out your phone to make notes of the ideas that you had or a dream that you had about something?
Nonstop, man. Nonstop. It's like, ooh, that's a good idea. Let me put it down. You see it a week later and you're like, where did that even come from?
Yeah. You're like, what did I try and say here? This looks like Swahili on my phone.
Free ribs with a protein purchase? What? Where do we even get ribs?
No, man. I think that's the curse of any business owner or entrepreneur, no matter what level you are. That's why you did it, is because you have this mind that never wants to stop.
And that's a curse, but in my opinion, the fun part about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a question. Where'd you get it from?
A lot, I think a little bit family. My grandfather was a businessman. I actually, he wrote a book, and it's a very private book he doesn't want to share with anybody. So I'm going to try not to share too many details from that, but, very successful businessman. And I always looked up to him. And, actually learned a lot from him. I used to call him once a week. The first year, actually the last year of his life was my first year on my own in business after my partners left. So I called him once a week to get advice, to kind of tell him what we're doing, and just kind of catch up and just gain a little confidence with what we're doing. And but I think a big thing comes from fear of bankruptcy. So I'm naturally more of a type B person, but when it's when you have $15,000 in expenses a month, it's and you're like, there's not any customers coming in our doors. It's like it's a pretty big fire under your ass to be like, all right, well, let's go, let's get it, and it's just a constant. That constant like need to be trying to do something to grow your customer base and grow your sales to be able to just cover your bills and stay open, I think is just kind of carried over into once it finally gets to the point of like, okay, now we're not just paying bills, but we are actually seeing some growth and getting to use that money towards cool things like bringing on some new people or doing some new marketing, or, finally being able to do shirts that we want to do. That's where it's addicting. It's like, oh man, like I want to see more of that. Like, and so like, I think I built that foundation in the years that we were struggling and barely paying bills, and carried over into the addiction. There's probably a better word for that. It's of the growth itself, and seeing like putting time and effort into a project and seeing the result that it has on how the stores are doing.
It is an addiction. This is actually an intervention. You need to go to Entrepreneurs Anonymous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They meet at the church on Saturdays.
Yeah. But everybody's just on their phone.
Working, checking their watch.
Yeah. No phones in an EA.
Cass, I'll see you there on Saturday.
Yeah. I was going to say plenty of people in that one. Yeah.
I think part of that, though, and kind of like what you guys are both talking about, is what is continuing to drive the business forward. I think that where that comes from is, I wonder if everybody has it, because I see people, and I associate myself with people, especially when it comes to business, that have like a real passion for it. It's something that they want to be successful, maybe. And I think it's easy, especially pointing to you guys, of it being like, I want to do it my way. And I think my way is the way that like I can hang my hat on and be proud of what we're doing. And people might tell me that method's not going to work, which I think is maybe something you've been associated with, like the way that you do things. It's not the prototypical, like same thing for us. It's not the prototypical way of running a supplement store. People have said before, like, oh, you can't have a supplement store without a direct commission model. Like you can't do it. It's not going to work. Like nobody does sales like you think you're going to do sales until you implement, you have to incentivize with the money on this. And we're just like,
let's prove that it doesn't work.
Right. Like, let's prove you can do it without that. You don't have to, like, the fleas don't have to come with the dog. Like it doesn't have to, there doesn't have to be a skeleton in your closet in order to make this work. You can do it the right way, and you can prove that this is the best way to do it, and you can be successful. And not only that, I think, you can outperform people who do it that way, who do it the way that we don't agree with. And I think that then really builds a big sense of pride. And then it just becomes the addiction of like, let's just keep going. Let's just keep doing it. We've seen what we've been able to accomplish with this set of ideas. And well, you know what? Now it's just keep it going and keep implementing new things with that same goal in mind. And I wonder, the people who, I hate to say it this way because I don't mean to like call anybody out, but it's like, there's a part of me that just doesn't feel like I could be as passionate if I owned a Taco Bell franchise. I shouldn't say Taco Bell because I do really like Taco Bell. So maybe I should change that.
You would be very passionate.
I would be very passionate about that. We'd be making the best Nachoritos you've ever had. But,
maybe a Subway, because I've heard you hate sandwiches.
I love sandwiches, but I do not like Subway. But that would be, I don't think that's a bad example. Like if I owned a Subway franchise, I think at some point you're just kind of like, we just make sandwiches and it's just you kind of do what you do. You can't really implement a lot of things. You can't really change a lot of stuff. Like it's just there to be the vessel that it just kind of does its own thing, where it's like, this is stuff that you stamp your name on. This is the thing that like, this is my, whether it's a legacy or just a proving to yourself or the world or the people around you that like you can do things the right way. And I think that's a huge motivator for me personally. I know it is for you also, and I'm sure it is for you as well, where it's like, and again, I will say this because I had my own feelings on it, but it's like the like I imagine, like you're proud of the fact that you're making something successful that is not the traditional see your chiropractor for 45 seconds model. You know what I mean? Where it's like here you are, crack, see you later, know? And then again, it's not necessarily anything wrong with it. It's a different way of doing things, but it's like, it's not the chiropractor that I want personally. And so that's why when coming to see you, and again, to give you kudos of why I think your popularity has grown so much, going from when I first started coming to you, you were still working, like at the clinic.
Yeah.
You were, getting into that point where you were going to make the leap to now even having employees and continuing to, fill your schedule like I'm sure you do. And it's a big part of that is the care that you give, not just the care in the sense of whenever somebody actually sees you and your actual care that you give them and your knowledge, but your genuine care for the person on the table. Same thing for us. It's like treating everybody who walks in the door like they're your grandmother. And I feel like you have the same thing. And I know you do because you're somebody who you have, and I hate to create an expectation for any of your clients or anything. Maybe I get special treatment, but is like, you're the guy who, when I was having an issue with my back and my hips and stuff, you were the one who were not just band-aiding over issues. You weren't just, okay, let's get you, I just got to do this and you're fixed. It was like, okay, we have some inactive muscles. Let's do some workouts. Let's do some band work. Let's do some different things where we're activating those muscles and strengthening those. Like it's the not just getting you in alignment, but why are you out of alignment? Does that require some kind of like ART or some kind of massage therapy to kind of get you there? Will cupping do it? Do I need to do some decompression? Whatever this looks like to build, the thing that you're building for them. But you're then on top of that, the guy who showed up at my work with a 6-page printout workout of different things that I could do on my own at the gym to help alleviate those problems long-term for me. And it's like, that's just not what you see, right? Like that's not what the traditional, go to a chiropractor experience is like. And I think that that's why, like Kevin was saying earlier, when it comes to word of mouth and social media, where like people are talking about you, because that is something so different than the status quo in the industry. And I think this is what we try to do as well, is just show the people like, dude, I just give a shit. Yeah. Like I just care. Like I actually want you to be successful. Even if that means, a perfect example of that was Will and I have been working with a customer for months and came in the first time, and it was very busy at his job, but he's trying to gain weight. And it was, hey, we've got to get more food in somehow. We've got to do something. And he was like, well, I can't eat. And we all hear that a lot. And that's definitely a tough thing for people whenever you're trying to help them build muscle, because like, you got to eat, you got to get it in somehow. And it turned into, him using shakes a lot throughout the day. He was using it because he didn't have much time, but through building that foundation of using shakes and using bars and using different things, he then was like, okay, cool. And started transitioning into less supplements and more food. And he came in the other day and was talking to Will and I, who have both independently been working the same goal with him. And he was like, yeah, I just think I'm not going to get what I normally get. I'm actually going to drop how many supplements I take by quite a bit. And I'm just going to introduce like more food at these times. And Will and I are like high-fiving each other.
Yeah.
Like this guy's coming in telling us that he's going to buy less stuff from us. And Will and I could not be happier because we know he's been able to use supplements to bridge the gap to get to the thing that he actually needed.
Actually changing his life.
Actually changing. Right. And that was the thing. It was like, now he has the belief that this will work, and that worked through supplements. And we might see him less and he might spend less money with us, but Will and I couldn't be more thrilled with the fact that he is on the trail. He has, and supplements played an important role for him for a while. And now it might equal less for him in the future, but I could not care less. Like, I'm so happy with the fact that like he's going to be successful with doing it the way that he needs to do it. And I think you have that same approach to things where it's just like, I just care about you. And if I can help you, yes, that might mean I see you less. I might get less money from you. But at the end of the day, like, I'm genuinely helping you. And genuinely helping you is worth more than any of it. And then you hope, just like we do, that the word of mouth travels and that breeds more customers and more trust in us and what we do in the long run. And I think that that's the direction that you've been heading for a while. And I see it through social media, especially in the fitness community down in Norman, which I was played my own part in for a long time, for a couple of years when I was managing our Norman location, and seeing all the people that I know. And I can't tell you how many times I've recommended you, even to people here. I'm like, you drive to Norman, Oklahoma, and go see my homie Cass at Ad Labs, and he'll take care of you. But I can speak to that with confidence that no matter who I send to you, I know is going to get the care that I would want them to get.
Man, well, I appreciate the hell out of that.
Yeah, I mean every word of it.
Means
if he
the
wouldn't
world.
have done those things, he wouldn't be sitting here talking about that to everybody that he knows. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And to our 3 viewers.
Yeah. And I think we all know it's not the easiest route when it comes to actually running a business, right? I mean, we know that it's actually going to be harder to do what we think is right, and it's going to take longer. But luckily there's people who are willing to go, I'm okay with that.
Yep,
I can sleep at night, and I'm not compromising who I am or my morals. And that doesn't mean I'm a saint, man. I mean, I'm going to do some people wrong by accident, you know, but one thing you can know for damn sure is that my intention is there.
Yep.
If I did you wrong, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, in my opinion, that's how you build a customer base that sustains itself in the future.
Yep.
If you're constantly out here trying to hustle people, you never stop. You'll constantly have to hustle for those customers and those clients. But if you take the time to be patient with your customer base, building and growing word of mouth, it took us years, but it will grow to the point where you couldn't stop it if you wanted to.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Because you go down that rabbit hole of just hustling your people. I mean, look at yourself 10 years from now. Who are you at that time?
I've seen it firsthand. I won't name even what type of business I was working at, but it was constantly running deals, constantly running sales, constantly trying to pressure people into purchasing, and as soon as that stopped, as soon as you took those people out that were hustling like that, immediate decline. When they were there and that was happening, it was showing growth day after day. But as soon as you took that out, it was immediate decline because it had a poor reputation. That's what I talked about earlier. I think reputation is such a huge part to long-term success in business today. I think consumers are a lot more educated, a lot more aware of when they're being hustled.
Yeah, and rightfully so, which is a good thing. They deserve to know those things, So
100%. Yeah. Well, it makes it easier for people like us to survive and be successful in the long term.
Yeah. I love it.
One of the things in a parallel that I draw to this that I think works similarly to kind of what we're talking to, and then that'll lead into a question for me as well. But one of the examples that I use of this is the guy who cuts Kevin and I's hair. His name's Max Radcliffe, owns the Annex Barbershop. They've got 2 locations now. We've got one in the Paseo and then one up in Edmond now. And one of the things with him is like, he cares a lot too. Like, he cares so much. He cares about like your health, your hair health, like how to take care of it. Super informative when it comes to it. super reasonable, which is another kudos that I want to give to you, is that you have a very like reasonable price structure for what you offer. You can spend as much as you want on chiropractic care. And I think that you make a very realistic price point for people to actually get genuine care. Just want to throw that in there, that we've talked a lot about insurance and stuff, but like you are very fairly priced. And I think you do a really good job with that. But not dissimilar to him. He's somebody who's booked out for months and charges $30 for a haircut. And it's like, that's not the cheapest in the world for sure, but it's like a great haircut. And like that, I've seen places charge way more than that for a men's haircut anymore, especially when you start throwing in extra stuff. But one of the things that has been really interesting is, he cares a ton, and you can tell that he cares. He's changed how we both deal with our like hair in the long term for a long time. And so it's really interesting to see, his passion go into that, into his clientele, and it being as he's booked out. Like if I had to try to book a haircut right now, when do you think the first haircut I could get was? It's May 1st right now. I bet I couldn't get a haircut until end of June.
Yeah.
Probably end of June.
It used to be a month, and now I got to book a couple of months now.
Yeah. I book out as many as I can, kind of thing, because it's pretty tough to get in there. So like, but with that being said, is he's gotten to a point where he can't cut everybody's hair, right? Just like I can't take every customer. You can't take every customer. You have to have other people in there. And he's done a really good job in his growth and continuing to put his passion into the people that work around him, where now I feel comfortable getting a haircut by anybody at the annex, right? Because I know the same level of care was put into the training. I've watched people. It's an example I use all the time, because I typically get my haircut by Max, but if something happens, I can't get into him, I go and see Troy, and Troy is up in Edmond. And I remember when Troy was literally like Max is in the place in the Paseo where I normally go. It's not a big room, but it's just Max in there. And I remember when there was a second chair in there, and it was Troy cutting hair and Max watching and helping him and training him. And they were doing free haircuts through Troy. So you could go in there, but it was just to get him reps and Max to be there to oversee. And I remember watching him go through his rigorous training progress. And I get my haircut every 2 weeks. And so it's like, I was seeing him pretty regularly and seeing how long it actually took to get to the point where Max felt comfortable for him to go cut someone else's hair. And that's kind of how it is for us in the store too. Like we're typically a month before of being on staff before you're ever able to take a customer on your own. And so that gave a lot of trust in me when it came to when I couldn't see Max, that I trusted to go see Troy or whoever else was at the annex. And because I knew they'd have that same level of care and dedication, because otherwise they wouldn't have gotten to this point. They wouldn't have a chair at the annex anymore.
Troy's so booked out now. He can't even be my backup anymore. I went to go book with him, and it's like, dude, you're booked out a couple weeks. I can't even get anything.
Need a haircut, guys.
Yeah.
But they're all great over there. But that's the thing is, his passion, he's been able to pass down and integrate and show the other people how it's to be done. Right. And so, I guess my question that I was talking about leading into is, are you ready for that mentally? Are you prepared for the day that you have to have a second chiropractor or somebody else on staff? And I know I've even seen, and maybe I'm incorrect, but I feel like the girls are starting to help with some of the, in small areas, like help with some of the therapies and stuff. But is going to be the day when your office has to move because you're going to need another room with another table and, or whatever that looks like. But having a second chiropractor on staff, you ready to hand the keys over at all to somebody yet? Because that's a tough one mentally.
Yeah. That's going to be hard. I think I have somewhat of a plan for that and hope for that. But, I would like to think I'm prepared, which I know I'm not, because you never are. You never are prepared for something new, no matter how much you try. But I think everything that you just talked about right there is a testament to how important service is. And I know you guys know that. I don't care how intricate your business or your product is. If you don't have service, you're not going anywhere.
Yep.
So I think that's just a testament to that. And man, I'm ready and I'm excited for something like that. I mean,
the days are coming, man.
I
see
so.
it for you. Oh, it's coming for sure.
I know it's going to be tough, and I know it's going to be hard. I mean, because I am. Kevin and I were talking about being perfectionists, about just like graphic stuff before and colors. We were, real exciting, right? But we were, us and Ryan were talking about colors and stuff like that, and just how detailed we are about everything. So I know it's going to be hard, but my hope, in the same sense of what you guys have done, is to be able to bring somebody on that you fully trust. And, you've got to do exactly what Max did and kind of cover their ground and teach them what it's about, and not even teach, but guide them for a little bit. But the hope is to find somebody who really is better than me.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's the dream there. So hopefully we find that. And that actually took me a long time to recognize pride.
Yeah.
It's good that you recognized it before you brought in something new. That caught me by surprise. People just got better than me and I wasn't ready to accept it. It was like getting frustrated myself and like everything. I'm just like, and I finally just realized or came to the conclusion all right, I just kind of suck at some things. I'll handle the things that no one else knows how to do right now. Graphics. That's, some of those things.
You're doing good, buddy.
But once I came to that realization, I was like, okay, cool. I can maybe relax a little bit. Someone better than me is taking care of certain things.
Yeah.
So,
that's one of the things, because my current path is, at least for the time being, is like I was, I managed Norman and now I'm managing Yukon, and I've said it on the podcast before, and I know we've talked about it a lot of times outside of it, is just, I hope I'm the worst manager every store ever sees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hope I'm the worst one. I hope that everyone after me does it better. And it's like, and that is the dream, because, even in my own way, and I know we kind of went through this as well in Norman with me and you, but it's like, I went through this and with Preston and letting Preston take over. And the day
Preston's a man.
Oh, he is. He's absolutely the man. And it's so cool for me whenever I go down to Norman and I stop into places, whether I go see, Chad at Kaizen, or I stop into Crunch, or I go by Coda Norman, or wherever I go. And everybody there is just praising Preston and all the guys at Norman like crazy. Because like, it took me a little while, but and I've been out of Norman for a minute now. And not to say that I ever had any, but like, I think it's natural to have a little bit of fear when you step away from something that like you felt like such a part of.
Yeah.
Cause I miss Norman all the time. But it's like I knew my time there had to come to an end to give opportunities to other people to grow there. And, being able to be reassured when I go down there, but it's like, and then I realized that like, it's in the best hands it could be in. Like I have no worries. I've never worried a day about Norman, knowing that Preston was in charge. And so finding somebody like that and getting to help him get to that point where we could hand the keys to him and I could walk away and just be like, yep, I am fully confident in this. Like,
that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's such a cool feeling. It's such a rewarding feeling, especially when I go down there and everybody's like, bro, Preston's the man. And you're like, yes, like it makes me so excited because it means that like we got the right person, and and he took everything to heart he needed to, and he was able to show his successfulness down there. But yeah, that is, while it is tough, and it's being a perfectionist and those kind of things, the day you're able to look at that person and realize that they've got it is such a rewarding feeling too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward to that day. Hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll have to do another podcast.
That's
on
right.
that.
Absolutely.
That's
Well,
right.
absolutely.
And then I'll tell you guys whether I was prepared or not.
Yeah, you won't be, but but I mean, it's tough. It's tough for anything. It's handing over your kid to somebody, you know what I mean? And just allowing them to do it. And because the wrong person can undo all the things you worked so hard for.
Yeah.
It's easier than it was for you to build it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so, finding that person and being not just comfortable, but also giving them the space. So we were just talking about this the other day in a situation that kind of popped up, but it was like, you can't control any employees that we have, right? You can only give them opportunities. And part of that, and where it gets really tough, and I think people struggle with in the understanding of, is to give somebody room to fail is to give them room to succeed. If you take away every opportunity for them to fail, you take away every opportunity for them to succeed.
Yep.
If you force their hand into doing all the things that they need to do, you'll forever have to force their hand into doing those things because you don't know that they can succeed on their own. And so we've been really blessed in the sense, and I've been super proud of him in that giving Preston the room to fail or succeed. He has succeeded time and time again. Like he's done all the right things. But you have to give him that space. You have to allow him to do it on his own. Otherwise you can't ever know what he's going to do, you know?
And to be able to watch some mistakes happen and just be like, it was okay.
And you got to let them happen. You have to let them happen. And it's so hard. You got to let the failures happen.
Yeah. In a little bit more of a positive light, looking into the future and bringing on new chiropractors and all that, what do you see AD Labs looking like in 10 years from now?
Oh man, 10 years from now. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I would hope that we're still able to provide the care and the service that we can give now. And I know that's going to be a challenge because as you get bigger, giving that same relational care and giving that same amount of personal feeling is might even be impossible. Who knows? I don't know. You know, but you know, I'm determined to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
So the hope is that we're still providing the same care and the same relationships that we are able to on a bigger scale. Maybe provide some more services and you know, kind of have a more diverse crowd and I mean, grow the same way that any business would, but without doing the whole compromising everything that we have now.
Yeah.
Just to scale.
Yeah. I would say that's my biggest thing there is to actually scale and do it as we've talked about this whole podcast, do it the right way.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that you guys are a good testament of whether or not that can be done. And it may be harder, but you know, bring it on. Bring it on. We take pride in that. And so
we're going to figure out if it is impossible.
Exactly. Yeah. And if it is, I might hit you up about franchising a triad or something.
Hopefully we'll be looking to do that eventually. So.
Awesome, man.
I love that that's the first answer wasn't, you know, all the cool things, the buildings and the staff and the team and all the stuff you want to do, but the worry that you'll be able to still provide that level of care you're providing now, but on a grander scale or to a vast majority or exponentially more people.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that because we do want those things too, you know, but you know, I genuinely believe that those things won't come if you can't, you know, if you can't do it that way.
You take your eye off of that and it all starts to veer off the tracks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament to, you know, I guess my advice in that situation is one, keep doing what you've been doing, but two is such a big thing for us has always been hiring character first. Hire character, train what you need to train. And it's like, if you find the right people who care, good intentions lead to good things. And even sometimes, you know, like sometimes that doesn't go always perfect, but people can tell when somebody's genuine and people can tell when they have good intentions. And I think that's been a huge thing for us is, you know, within that, when you find the people who, again, just give a shit about the people who are walking in the doors, they aren't just there to collect a paycheck. You start seeing these people who have really great customer service and you see how well they're doing things. And, you know, you start talking about their talent being able to come through and offering that level of care. Part of that is seeing, you know, I think, just like from a customer service standpoint, you know, like we have somebody who like Will, who the dude gets 5-star reviews, one after another, because he just cares so much about everybody and can make a friend with a wall. And like, you know, or like Hossie in Norman, like he's such a good kid.
My guy.
Yeah, he's great, but he's somebody who like, he, more than he ever wants to sell you a supplement, he would die to be your friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he could care less about this, like how many supplements you buy. As long as you leave his friend, he's so stoked about it. And that's like the thing that we look for, and is that person who, like, when you're his friend, he wants to continue to treat you right, and he wants to go out of his way for you, and he wants to go the extra mile all the time, whether that's Will or Hasi or anybody we have on staff. But those are the things that, like, when you find those people, you implementing the genuine things that you try to offer will be easy. That those will be the people, they soak it up and they run with it, and you'll be super impressed with them.
Love it, and looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's super cool.
I feel like Hasi, you explained it well. I think you could, if you're a customer that came in and you were like, I don't know about this kid, I'll be your friend if you quit your job right now. He'd be hard pressed to not quit his job.
How much are we going to hang out?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be a lot, because if it's going to be a lot, then I'm probably in. And I really like going to dinner. Do you like going to dinner?
Please don't, because we love Hasi.
Yeah.
So.
None of you can miss Hasi to leave to be your friend, because he'll do it.
He'll do it.
Yeah. Right. Or like Will is just like one of those people who, like, you laugh because, like, I don't know if there's a right way to put it, but Will can almost, like, in his heart of hearts, like Will cannot do wrong. Like he can't. It's just like he would rather jump off the roof than tell a lie. And so he's somebody who, again, like when you talk about integrity, like it's just so high because it's just ingrained in who he is. He would be somebody that if we ever changed our model into this, like, super just sales driven commission, he would be out the door. There's no way he'd work for us.
Yep.
He's where I talk about, I can't let the words come out of my mouth. He can't even let that thought go in his brain.
Yeah.
No, we'll think bad.
He's the kind of kid,
Yeah.
like he'll have a bad thought and he'll like have to like admit it to you, like, hey man, like I had a bad thought that entered my head the other night. And I
It's
feel
been really
guilty about
eating
it.
away at me for the last 3 days. So, okay.
And that's we always have a make fun of Will segment in the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
I love it. I've noticed that, actually. I've noticed it.
He's really, he's like, well, I was talking to him the other day. I was like, Will, I don't think it's malicious, but like sometimes you miss like stalking a couple. Yeah, I'm so sorry. And it's like, you could tell. And like we had a conversation. I'm like, dude, you're good. Again, I don't think it's a malicious thing, but let's do some actionable things to like work on stuff. We all have to do it. Like, you're not calling Will out in a negative way. We all have to do things like that. I have to do things
We
like
all
that
make mistakes
regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I have to set reminders on my phone. I have to do all sorts of things. I have to write things on the whiteboard to make sure that I do them, all that kind of stuff. And it was like, it was so funny because it's so innocent, and it's like, it's almost cute, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's just who he is. But I saw him for the first time after that, and he's like, am I getting written up? And I'm like, no, Will, you're not getting written up, dude. Like, you're fine, man. Like, please stop stressing about this. Okay. Okay. And I was like, dude, you're good, man. Like, you're good. But again, it's the same thing. He's like, Kevin, April 27th at 3:30 p.m. I had a negative thought.
Yeah.
I have to confess.
I thought about taking an extra scoop out of the samples of this pre-workout.
I know we're allowed to do it, but I'm so sorry.
I took one the day before, and I already knew what the product tasted like. So
it has been literally eating me alive.
Oh man, I love it.
But again, it's those kind of people though that contribute so much to that culture.
Yeah.
Where it's like, when you're around him, it just, that attitude and that positivity and that way of just like, you don't even let a negative thought enter your brain, rubs off on you like so intensely that it's like you just can't help but smile when you work with the kid.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing with Hasi or anybody on staff. I don't mean to just call them out in a positive way like that, because it truly is everybody. But like, and I just get to appreciate Will a lot because I work with him all the time now. But that is, it's those kind of things that just really contribute to culture and make it such a fun place to be, even though he is an absolute knucklehead. But I love him to death. death. But that kind of attitude that he brings really just lightens the load for everybody, you know?
People who are there for the mission and
that's a great way to
us,
push it.
right? Like they're, you're not here to just listen to what I tell you. You're not a helper. I didn't, didn't hire you to be just a helper.
The kind of person that helps the rest of the team uphold the mission in the standard, not just lives it, but like expects it from everybody else as well as an extension of yourself and the rest and the morals of the company.
Such a great way to put it.
For sure. And from me, I mean, honestly, shout out to Kaylee for being the first person that I ever brought onto the team and showing me what that was so that I can do this from here on out. You know what I'm saying? Like try to find the same people, because at first, like for my first hire, I was like, oh, you're pretty invested in this. Yeah. I appreciate the hell out of that. You know, like thank you for showing me what this looks like, because like I said, I'm pretty private and like, I wouldn't expect somebody, I'd be like, oh, this is my thing. Maybe they're not going to be as on board, and I'm willing to accept that, Yeah. But when you get somebody who's on board for the mission, man, like that's, if you can create a full team of that, you're going full steam ahead.
Would you say you didn't even realize someone else could be as passionate about the business as you were when you were first hiring somebody?
For sure. Like I would hope for it, but I wouldn't expect it. I'm not an expecting guy. I think I've lived on this earth long enough to not expect things from people.
Absolutely.
I'll hope for it, but I wouldn't expect it. So, whenever you catch that, you are just so super thankful for it.
Right. I want to give kudos to the girls again, because I think this is a funny story. And I know I'm not the only person who experienced this, but when I went to go pick up this shirt and it had the envelope in there that had like potentially a golden ticket to see if you won a free shirt through the next round of the At Lab Training Club shirts that were coming out. They were like, oh yeah, here's the one with your name on it. And they're like, do you want to open your envelope right now? Like, do you want to? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not walking a step. And they're like, okay, cool. And I'm like pulling my envelope out, and they're like both kind of looking like excited to see whether or not I got the golden ticket or not. Like they were just as excited as I was. And I'm sure with everybody who came in of just like, did you win? Like and it's so cool to see somebody, because we've all had other jobs, and I can be honest that I've had jobs I did not care about.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I remember working those jobs, and in that situation, I could not have cared less if you won or not. And that's just like being honest. Like I've been that person before. And so I really appreciate it when I see the opposite of that, like with the girls in this situation where it's just like, they were just as excited to see who was going to win as I was to see if it was me.
Yeah.
And so having them be that invested in it was such a cool thing. It was like a fun little thing. Like, and I'm sure everybody who came to pick up the shirts, it was the same way. Like, it's such a cool deal.
I love it, man. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Do plenty of jobs that I worked where I wouldn't have hired me with, 19-year-old me, man.
What? Dude.
Same.
Yeah. Right. Well, and that's why I think, and I'm going to say this not to like, I think it's a good way to put it, but it's like, when I talk to these kids, these children that work like at Triad, we've got, Hasi.
19, right? 19, 20?
Yeah.
He just turned 20, I think.
Yeah. He was in kindergarten the year I was graduating high school. So that doesn't hurt my heart every time I think about it. But Hasi at 19, you stack him up to me at 19, he smokes me.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's not even close. And so it's funny now when I talk to some of these people, I talk to Will and he like tells me how much he looks up to me and respects me and, not to my own horn with that. But it's like but I sit and I look at him and I'm like, bro, you have no idea how far ahead of the curve you are.
Yep.
And like talking to Will, this is like his first real job. And it's like, dude, you kill this all the time. And that's so many of our employees. It's like their first real job or their second job. And I'm like, bro, my second job, I was probably the worst employee they had ever had. They were like, what in the world were we thinking when we hired this kid? And so to look at them, I almost laugh when they I just respect or look up to you. I'm like, bro, why? Like, you have no idea. Like you think I'm
way ahead
wait
of
till
where I was.
When you're at this point, dude, you're going to be light years ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm the one playing catch up right now, not you. You guys are way ahead of the curve. And so I think it's funny because, I think all of us obviously have kind of cleaned up our act and stuff, and we kind of treat it a little bit differently.
Late bloomers.
Yeah, late bloomers. That's all right.
We're doing okay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're doing all right.
It all worked out,
Yeah.
right? Hopefully, fingers crossed. You know, knock on wood. But
Until these youngins sweep up behind us, they're coming for us.
dude, for real,
We just got to
though.
do our best to suppress them.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, everybody's already better at everything than Kevin. But like,
This is why I'm legitimately just the delivery guy now. Half
Yes.
my time is just driving around town dropping off boxes.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Kevin, we got a promotion for you.
You're the delivery boy.
Get this guy out of the store.
You get him a dolly. But for real though, like I look at these kids and I'm like, no, you have no idea how much potential you have. Like you take this so much more seriously than I took anything. Anything at all at your age. And so it just makes me super proud to see them and where they're at. And I'm sure you feel the same way with the people that work for you, like the girls. Like, again, it's like I was the worst when I was your age. I would never hire me. 19-year-old Thomas, not a chance. And so like it gives me such a sense of pride to watch them grow and continue to do these things, because it's just like, you don't realize how much of an outlier you are. Like you are so ahead of the curve, all of you, everybody that works at Triad. It's a really a cool thing to get to experience. And yeah, they're all catching up, man. Like we're gonna have to figure something out, Kevin.
It's sad to think that we wouldn't have been hired at Triad.
Nope.
Yeah.
Totally
It's a
would
sad
not. At Hossy's age, no way. No way.
Wouldn't have even got the interview.
No. Nope. Absolutely not. I'd have been like, what do you mean I can't use this 12th free shake pass? Come on. I haven't bought supplements in a month. Oh, I'm sorry. I take it back. I did say that everybody's better at using everything. You've been doing really good on the ping pong table.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, I got you.
I've been working.
Yeah, I get it.
You know, when you guys don't let me do anything else,
You got a
get
dolly in one hand, a paddle in the other.
I get that forehand down.
That's
Little
right.
top spin to it.
The expense of this warehouse for the basketball goal, hockey goal, and ping pong table.
Dude, you should have seen the group like text whenever we realized what, like, because we were looking at this space. We were looking at a warehouse in general, and there were just a handful of, we were limited on options, especially ones that were HVAC. And we've talked about this all before, but it was like we could do a really tiny space that we would probably be outgrowing in like a couple months from now. Or we could get something that was a little bit more something that we could grow into. And the price was like pretty minute. So we're like, man, let's just get something a little bit bigger. We'll have a little extra space for a while. Like we know going into it, we're not going to fill it out. By the end of the year, we're going to be not busting at the seams, but it'll definitely be a lot more full. But as soon as we realized that with the extra space, we could get basketball hoop,
Yes.
and some hockey sticks and a ping pong table, dude, it just instantly turned into like, this isn't a warehouse anymore. It's Triad Sports
It's the
Complex.
fun house. Yeah. Sports complex.
That's right.
Hey, maybe one of those coming in the future. Triad Sports Complex.
Dude, having her, that's one of the exciting goals for us. I should probably make sure that I'm meeting the standard, and I want to make sure that we provide the best level of customer service, even when we scale.
He's like, but I want a soccer goal.
But, dude, having our own gym and like a turf area, dude, that kind of stuff would be
Indoor
so cool.
croquet course.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it's just for the employees, just for the team.
Yeah, it probably will be somewhat
Yeah.
private. Maybe do some events for like ambassadors or maybe like invites or stuff like that. But yeah, it'll probably have to be somewhat private, which would be kind of the cool aspect to it. It's like an invite only kind of place. So what do we have to put in this sports complex to get you to come by?
Yeah. We're going to have cast day.
Cast day.
Yeah.
I mean, weights will get me in there alone, to be
Yeah.
honest.
We'll have some weights.
Just have Thomas in there lifting weights and doing jujitsu with people
Hey,
when I'm there.
that's what I'm talking.
Motivating you.
Yeah.
You ever play croquet?
I do not play croquet.
Dude.
You want to talk about an addiction?
Dude, croquet is that thing that everybody is just like, that's the thing that old people play. And it is so much fun.
You get out there.
Some serious gaming.
It
It's
is a
so-
strategy-filled game. The whole staff is pretty big on it. Ryan, you got a take on this?
I was a fan. I thought it was silly, but I played it over in Kevin's backyard probably
Okay.
6 months ago.
It's
I was
a
fan.
blast.
I think a big
Gotcha.
aspect to it is like you like the strategies, like you really just fuck people over, like you like, and you get on teams so you can play like you like gives more strategy to like play together and play against the other team.
You might talk with your teammate about a shot for 5 minutes before you take it.
yeah.
So it gets personal, and that makes it fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's what the best part about it is. It's
Yeah.
the personal and just like, I mean, I think a lot of us up here are pretty competitive with each other.
Yeah. And there's
In a
so much
friendly way,
strategy. and-
But it's just competitive when you wouldn't expect it to be.
Okay.
It will get heated sometimes.
All right.
Like
Let me come out to a croquet match.
Dude,
Yes,
it's
yes.
a blast.
We'll have to. Yeah, we need to do another one. We'll let you know when the next one
Yeah.
is. They're so much fun.
Dude.
I'm down, man.
It is one of those games where you're like, oh, this is silly. And I started playing it with back when I lived in Springfield with some like a bunch of guys who were all like in their 40s and 50s. And it was like, oh, this is one of the most fun, like not just like yard games. Like this is one of the most fun games I have because it takes like skill and like it's not necessarily athletic, but like you have to like understand like your body to be able to do it well.
Okay.
You have to have like pretty like good precise shots, but then it is a game of chess like to the max.
Wow.
And so you have there's all sorts of we could have a whole podcast on croquet.
To give you examples, I have had guys in my backyard at 1 a.m. in the morning playing croquet. I've also had to apologize for yelling at Thomas in a game.
Yeah.
Affecting team relationships.
Yeah.
To
I
that
put
level.
Kevin with a
good
mallet.
thing. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, the first thing I said to Thomas today was I'm trying to get on that ping pong table.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah,
so
you
you
want
guys
to
are
play a game
off to a
before you
good
get out
start.
of here?
Yes, I would
Okay.
love to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Thomas, while you were in the bathroom, Thomas said that you were the king around here.
I did give you some props. You have apparently I haven't seen it completely firsthand, but apparently you have been doing good on the table.
Appreciate that. I played a lot. My parents had a ping pong table in the basement. I played a lot, and if I get enough games in and get warmed up again,
And you
my
don't have to
skills
take
will come back.
customers or do real work. So
I can spend a lot of
yeah, a lot of time over there.
You say that, but Alyssa did beat me 4 out of 5 games yesterday.
Ooh,
So
way to go,
Alyssa might
Alyssa.
be the best right now.
Tell you what,
Okay.
Me and Kevin have split series so far.
nice.
I like
this.
that. You guys are keeping series. Like, yeah,
I am. I don't know if Kevin is. But
I didn't know
that's
this, but-
serious.
This is very serious.
I
I
like
think we've
that.
only played twice, and you won last Friday, and I'd won the Friday before.
All
So
right. Okay. Yeah. Gotta have
Yeah.
another series.
Ryan, are you the hockey player in here?
I'll play anything, to
Okay.
be honest, but I'm a
Yeah.
big hockey fan. and so-
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's been fun. The hockey goal is probably the most underrated thing in here, I think.
I know. I want to try a slap shot. I never swung a hockey
We're gonna
stick
get you
before.
I
up
make a weekly post telling everybody on staff that I have a harder slap shot than them. So
Ryan's got a pretty good. I'm more of a wrister guy myself, which is why I haven't competed.
Silky
as much.
wristers come from old Kev guy over here.
Yeah, I got some wangy danglers there a little bit.
Oh.
You're
think
from
they're-
St. Louis, right?
Mhm.
So that's why there's some hockey there.
Yeah,
Because you guys have the Blues out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
Gotcha.
didn't do so well this season, but we're still hanging on to our Stanley Cup win in 2019. We talk
Yeah.
about it all the time. So
But I know St. Louis people really like
St. Louis is a
hockey,
big
which is
hockey
cool.
place.
Okay.
Honestly, Alyssa's probably a bigger Blues fan than I am, but she had pretty much every game on this season, so I tuned into all that, and I've become a bigger hocky fan, especially this season. But
Okay.
yeah, you grew up in St. Louis, you're a Blues fan pretty much. So Ryan is an Oilers fan, and they just advanced to the playoffs.
Looking pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did see a funny tweet today, and it was some guy joking to be our GM, and he's like, I don't know what to do because I built this team to beat Colorado and the Bruins,
That's funny.
and they both just lost.
Dude,
Yeah, they
the
both just
that
got it.
Panthers upset was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bruins essentially had the best regular season of all time in the NHL, and just lost to the Panthers, which were the worst team to make the playoffs
Oh,
in
Yeah.
the first
in the first round. Yeah. Weren't they up like 3-1 too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. That's rough.
Empty net goal with about a
Yeah.
minute left to
Blech.
tie it and go to overtime.
A hockey 7-game series, right?
Yeah, and it went
Wow.
to game 7.
Mhm.
So I'm not a Panthers fan, but I was proud of them for at least making it
Yeah.
there. But they won in mid advance, which is crazy.
That's
Wild.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been 2 hours, man.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Isn't it crazy how fast it goes by?
Yeah.
You feel like, oh man, like that was, because people have asked before, and we've talked about this with pretty much every guest, but they're like, man, like 2 hours, like the episodes are pretty long. You're like, but if you cut it at an hour, like there's so many good things that we talk about, and it's like an hour
rolling.
just flies by. Like the 2 hours goes by pretty quick.
Felt like the right amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like I didn't say anything like too stupid.
No, we're editing you a lot.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah.
I get to hear this before it goes anywhere, right? Yeah.
It's just, you're just like, Cass, you did. Sorry, man, you didn't make the episode.
Yeah.
Well, better luck next time.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. But seriously, man, I know we paid you a lot of compliments today, but I hope you know, genuinely mean them.
Likewise.
You are somebody who, man, I look at what you're doing and I'm really stoked for the progress that the business has made, and just watching you do it right. And, obviously in my opinion, doing it right. And it's been super cool to watch that. It's been super cool to see the clothing stuff take off more. But man, just keeping doing what you're doing and keeping having the motivation that you have, and the morals and the way that you're doing it, man, the world's your oyster when it comes to it. You'll have nothing but success, man. And I think you're already starting to see it, and starting to see how just your own belief in that this can work by doing it this way, And so I'm super excited for you to continue to see that and continue to see the benefits that happen from it. And man, I'm just super stoked for you, and really appreciate you coming on and talking with us. Anybody in the Oklahoma City metro area, if you're, looking for any chiropractic help, could not recommend this man more. He is somebody who's helped me personally, and just goes above and beyond, and just cares a whole bunch about everybody that comes in to see him. So go check out Ad Labs, check out Cass, and we appreciate you a ton, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. This was a blast, number one, and number two, got some, always getting good information from you guys, so you guys keep killing it too. Everything that you said about me, I can say tenfold about you guys. So I appreciate y'all having me on.
Yeah, heck yeah.
We know you're a busy guy too, man. So appreciate you making time in your schedule to join us. And man, this was awesome, man. It was a fun conversation to have. So
yeah, I'm glad we got to catch each other since the first time we met.
Yeah. Second time.
I'm glad we remembered at least.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah. I'm glad you remember. I remembered. I was like, I don't know if Kevin's gonna remember.
Yeah. We were both on the same page. So
yeah, good deal.
You just keep watching his social media videos. You keep watching his social media videos.
And we got to know each other well enough over social
that's
media.
Right.
That means the social media people are doing a fantastic job.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry, who's your girl?
Jess.
Ryan and Jess.
Ryan and Jess. Yeah. You guys helped me and Kevin get to know each other before even doing this tonight. So that's huge.
Then Cass and I will go get pho again.
Yes,
so,
let's go get some pho for sure.
I'm in. So, all right, guys, that was episode 20.
Yeah,
episode 20. Appreciate everybody who listened. Always a blast.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Take care, guys.